The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. Only the distant hum of the stars and the faint pulse of distant systems broke the silence. Most fleets of humans were gone, destroyed one after another by the relentless alien armadas. In fire and explosions, leaving behind only blackened debris drifting in space. Among the wreckage and despair, one small human ship drifted alone, fragile against the cold vastness of the universe. Its metal hull was scarred from countless battles, and its engine shuddered, as though tired from carrying the last hope of humanity. Inside the ship, Captain Leora Dane stood before the main viewport, staring at the endless stars. Her eyes, sharp and determined, reflected the faint glows of distant nebulae. Every planet out there was a reminder of what they had lost. All fleets broken, all hope fading, she whispered to herself. She did not say it to mourn. It was a statement of fact. Humans had been underestimated, defeated repeatedly, and now only she and her crew remained. The bridge was quiet, filled only with the soft beeps of instruments and the low hum of the engine core. Lieutenant Merrick, the ship's tactical officer, sat at his console, running scans over and over. "Captain," he said cautiously, "we are still clear of the alien patrols. For now, but I don't know how long that will last. They are everywhere." Leora turned slowly, her face calm but her eyes burning with fire. "We've survived worse, Merrick, and we will survive this too." Her words were simple, but there was a weight to them, a quiet determination that made everyone on the bridge hold their breath. Even in hopeless times, humans had a stubborn streak, a refusal to give up. That stubbornness, she believed, was stronger than any weapon the aliens had. The ship's AI, soft female voice named Arya, interrupted the silence. "Captain, I am detecting a weak transmission. It appears to be human in origin, but heavily encrypted. Signal strength is low and unstable." Leora leaned forward, her heart quickening. A human transmission, at a time like this. Patch it through. The bridge lights flickered as the AI worked to decode the message. When it finally came through, the words were faint but clear. Coordinates. Secret. Weapon. Salvation. The message cut off abruptly, leaving only static. Leora frowned, gripping the edge of the console. A secret weapon? Salvation? Could it be true? Or was it a trap designed by the aliens to lure the last human ship into destruction? Marek looked uneasy. "Captain, we don't know if this is real. It could be a trap, a lure. We can't risk it." Leora shook her head. "We don't have a choice, Marek. If there is even a small chance of turning the tide, we take it. Don't hide and wait to be destroyed. That's not what humans do." Her voice was calm, but there was a steel in it that made Marek nod. However, reluctantly, as the ship altered course to the coordinates, the crew felt a renewed sense of purpose. For the first time in weeks, fear was replaced with determination. Every system they passed, every asteroid field they navigated, reminded them of the dangers that lay ahead. Space was not empty, which was full of threats, both seen and unseen. But humans had always found a way to survive, to fight, to adapt. Hours passed. The ship glided through dark stretches of space, weaving between asteroids and drifting debris. Suddenly, the silence was broken by the sharp alarms of the sensors. Leora's eyes narrowed as the console flashed red. "What is it, Arya?" "Alien scouts," the AI replied. "Multiple small ships. Fast approach. They are likely tracking us." Marek's hands flew over the controls, shields at maximum. Engines ready for evasive maneuvers. "We might be able to outrun them, but not for long." Leora's mind raced. She knew they could not fight an entire alien fleet. Their small ship was fast and nimble, but against overwhelming numbers, speed alone would not save them. Then her eyes fell on the faint glimmer of a nearby asteroid belt. "Take us through the belt. It won't follow where navigation is too dangerous. Arya, plot the safest path." The ship shuddered as they plunged into the asteroid field. Rocks the size of mountains floated silently, some glowing faintly with ice or metal. Sensors beeped constantly, warning of collisions. The alien scouts fired intermittently, their lasers slicing through the shadows. But the humans dodged expertly, weaving between massive stones. Minutes felt like hours. The tension was thick, each creak of the ship sounding like a warning. Finally, they emerged on the other side, battered but intact. The alien scouts had been left behind, unwilling to risk their ships in the asteroid labyrinth. Leora exhaled slowly. Good work, everyone. This is just the beginning. Whatever lies at those coordinates, it could change everything, or it could be the end. The crew exchanged glances, each one feeling the weight of responsibility. They were the last line, the last hope of humanity. And yet, in the face of overwhelming odds, they moved forward, not out of hope, but out of stubbornness, courage, and the unyielding desire to survive. As the ship approached the coordinates, space seemed to grow darker, heavier. Strange readings appeared on the scanners, signals that did not match anything known. Leora's stomach tightened. "This is not natural," she murmured. Arya's voice was calm, but the tension was clear. "Unknown energy signatures detected, Captain. They appear ancient, powerful, and dangerous." Leora gripped the console, staring at the faint glow of a distant planet. The last flicker of hope lay somewhere out there, waiting. She didn't know if it was a weapon, a trap, or something beyond imagination. All she knew was that humans do not surrender. Humans do not wait quietly while empires fall. They fight, they endure. And sometimes, against all odds, they stand alone. The ship moved forward, into the darkness, carrying the last spark of humanity. Whatever lay ahead, whatever challenges the universe had prepared, the captain and her crew were ready. And somewhere, in the shadows of space, something waited, ancient, powerful, and unknown, something that might just give humans a chance to fight back. The stars stretched endlessly before them. The galaxy was silent again, but this time the silence was different. It was full of tension, full of anticipation, and full of the promise of a story that had just begun. The coordinates from the broken transmission lay ahead like a ghostly trail in the dark. Captain Leora Dane sat in her chair, staring at the glowing map on the main screen.
The path looked simple, but she knew better.
In space, danger often hid in silence, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The crew moved with quiet focus. Lieutenant Marek checked weapon systems while Chief Engineer Sura monitored the engines. The ship's AI, Arya, processed the encrypted data from the message again and again, trying to uncover more. The only words that had been clear were coordinates, secret, weapon, salvation. But salvation for whom? For humanity or for the enemy? Captain Arya's calm voice filled the bridge. "I have partially decoded more of the signal. It includes warnings. The location may be heavily guarded. Probability of hostile contact is high." Marek frowned. "Of course it is. You can't take 2 steps out here without someone trying to kill us." Leora gave him a sharp look. "That's why we survive, Marek. We know they're coming, and we adapt." She leaned forward. "Plod the fastest route. No unnecessary stops. If this really is a weapon, we can't let the aliens get to it first." The engines roared gently, pushing the small human ship into the empty darkness. Stars stretched around them, distant and cold. They passed through the shattered remains of old battlefields, floating wreckage from ships that had once been proud and mighty. Some were human, some alien. All were silent graves now. Sura, watching from the engineering station, spoke softly. "This place, it feels cursed." "Not cursed," Leora replied. "It's just forgotten. Space doesn't care who wins or loses." Hours passed before the sensors picked up something unusual. A faint pulse, almost like a heartbeat, echoed through the scanners. Captain Arya said, "We are detecting energy patterns not seen in known databases." They matched the transmission's coordinates. Leora straightened in her seat. "We're close." But before anyone could celebrate, a shrill alarm cut through the bridge. Marek's eyes widened. Multiple contacts on long-range sensors. Alien ships, vectoring toward us at high speed. They must have picked up the same signal. Leora's jaw tightened. "They're not taking this from us. Not today. Arya, find us a path that avoids them, but still gets us to the coordinates. The ship swerved into a new course, dodging through a narrow gap between two gas giants. The massive planets glowed in strange colors, their storms swirling like angry oceans. Lightning flashed across their atmospheres. The gravitational pull made the ship's frame creak. One alien vessel appeared on their tail, faster than the rest. Its sleek, curved hull shimmered with energy shields, and its weapons charged. With a sickly green glow, Rex's fingers danced over the controls, firing bursts from the ship's railguns. Sparks flashed against the alien shields, but the enemy kept coming. Shields at 60%, Arya reported calmly. LIORA didn't flinch. Target its engines. Don't waste fire on the shields. Marek adjusted aim and fired again. This time, one of the shots slipped past the enemy's defenses, striking the rear thrusters. The alien ship spun out of control, drifting into the gravitational pull of the nearest gas giant. Was gun-swallowed by the planet's endless storms. The bridge let out a breath they didn't realize they'd been holding. But the relief was short-lived. Remaining enemy ships are still closing in, Arya warned. Then we move faster. Leora said, the ship's engines pushed to maximum. The stars blurred, the coordinates growing closer. The strange pulse from the unknown source was now a steady rhythm, almost like it was guiding them. Finally, they emerged from a dense field of debris into open space and, there it was, floating. Ahead was a massive object, unlike anything in the known galaxy. It wasn't a ship, not exactly. It looked more like a fortress carved from a single piece of black stone, its surface etched with glowing blue lines that pulsed like veins. The structure was enormous, big enough to hide a fleet inside. It was ancient, older than any recorded human or alien civilization. What is that? Sora whispered, her voice trembling. Arya's voice carried a rare note of curiosity. Unknown origin. Energy readings are off the charts. This could be the source of the transmission. Leora's eyes locked on the massive structure. She could almost feel it watching them. Take us in, slow and careful. Scan for defenses. As they approached, strange symbols lit up across the surface of the fortress. They shimmered like they were alive, reacting to the human ship's presence. The pulse in the scanners grew louder, matching the rhythm of a human heartbeat. Captain, Arya said slowly, the structure is opening, inviting us inside. The fortress shifted, its black stone panels sliding apart to reveal a massive gateway. Beyond it, a tunnel of light stretched into the unknown. Marik's voice was tight with worry. Captain, this feels wrong. Oh. If we go in there, we might not come out. Leora didn't look away from the screen. If this is a trap, then we'll spring it. But if it's what I think it is, it could be the one thing that turns the tide for humanity. The alien ships were now minutes away, their weapons charging. Leora made her choice. Full speed into the gate. The engines roared, and the ship surged forward. The light from the gateway engulfed them, blinding for a moment. Everything went silent. No sound, no movement, just a strange feeling, like floating in warm water. Then, in an instant, they were through. The ship emerged into an enormous chamber, big enough to fit a small moon. Walls of dark stone glowed faintly. And in the center of the chamber floated something incredible. A long, sleek vessel, unlike any human or alien design. Its hull shimmered like liquid metal, and its shape suggested speed and power far beyond anything humanity had ever built. Arya spoke in a low voice, almost like a whisper. Captain, I believe this is the weapon. Leora stared at it, her mind racing. But before she could give an order, a deep voice echoed through the chamber. Not from speakers, but from everywhere at once. Prove you are worthy, or be destroyed. The crew froze. The chamber's lights grew brighter, and strange shapes began to emerge from the Shadows Guardians, tall and armored. With weapons glowing in their hands, Leora's voice was steady, but her heart pounded. Crew, get ready. Whatever this is, they're not just giving it to us. Somewhere outside, the alien ships arrived at the fortress's entrance. The next move would decide everything. The chamber was silent except for the faint hum of the glowing vessel floating in the center. The tall armored guardians stepped forward, their movements slow but powerful, like statues come to life. Their eyes burned with a cold blue light, and their weapons pulsed with energy. Captain Leora Dane tightened her grip on her sidearm, though she knew it was almost useless against beings like these. "Hold positions," she ordered quietly. The crew spread out, their eyes scanning every corner. The air inside the fortress felt heavier, charged with something old and dangerous. The deep voice returned, echoing in every direction. "To claim the weapon, you must prove yourselves. Show strength, show wisdom, show unity. Fail, and you will die." Leora's gaze moved to Arya's holographic projection. "Can you analyze them? Find weaknesses?" Arya's voice was calm, but uncertain. "These entities do not match any known biology or technology. They appear to be constructs, possibly machines, but with unknown energy sources. Direct combat may not be the only path to success." One of the guardians stepped forward, raising a massive blade made of pure light. It pointed toward the crew, and the floor beneath them shifted. Circular platforms rose from the ground, separating Leora, Marek, and Sura from each other. Walls of light formed between them, isolating each crew member in their own space. "Captain." Marek's voice echoed through the barrier. "What's happening?"
Oh.
Before Leora could answer, the voice spoke again. "Trial 1. Strength." From the shadows, two massive constructs emerged into Leora's space-towering metal beasts with glowing jaws and claws sharp enough to tear through hull plating. They moved in perfect silence, their eyes fixed on her. Leora drew her weapon, knowing it wouldn't do much damage, but she aimed carefully at the creature's glowing joints. Shots sparked against metal, slowing one of them. She ducked and rolled as the second lunged, its claws scraping the platform. Meanwhile, in Marek's section, the walls lit up with alien symbols that shifted and rearranged. A deep, steady pulse filled the air. Marek frowned. "Trial of strength? This looks more like a puzzle." Arya's voice reached him through the coms. "Load strength of mind is also a test, Lieutenant. Touch the symbols to open the next phase." Marek's hands flew across the alien controls, trying to find patterns. The symbols twisted faster, testing his focus. In Syrah's section, the trial was different still. Massive weight hung above her, suspended by thin beams of light. Voice thundered, "Protect the core." The floor opened beneath her to reveal a glowing sphere, fragile, humming softly. Suddenly, the weight above began to fall. Sura's instincts took over. She sprinted to the controls, overriding the beam's energy pattern, forcing the mechanism to lock. Sweat dripped down her face. This was not just about muscles. It was about precision under pressure. Back in Leora's platform, the fight intensified. One of the beasts leapt at her, and she fired point-blank at its leg joint. The limb gave way, sending the creature crashing down. The other charged, forcing her backward toward the platform's edge. She glanced behind, only empty air. One wrong step, and she would fall into the endless darkness below, with no other choice. She waited until the beast lunged, then sidestepped at the last second. It missed her, its momentum carrying it over the edge into the void. The platform trembled, and the walls of light vanished. The voice spoke again, low and rumbling. "Strength, proven." Leora, Marek, and Sura were reunited in the central chamber. The guardians stood motionless again, their weapons lowered. But the vessel in the center remained untouched, still floating, still pulsing with power. Trial 2. Wisdom. Without warning, the chamber transformed. The walls dissolved into a projection of space, showing a battlefield full of alien and human ships. It wasn't real, but it felt real. The distant explosions, the flashing weapons fire, the drifting wreckage. Arya appeared beside Leora. "Captain, this appears to be a simulation. The system is testing your decision-making under combat conditions." On the display, a small human fleet was cornered by a larger alien force. Every possible move seemed to lead to destruction. Leora studied the scene, her mind racing. She couldn't overpower the enemy, but maybe she could outthink them. She ordered the simulated human ships to scatter, drawing the aliens into a narrow asteroid corridor. The aliens followed, unaware of the unstable rocks overhead. Leora ordered a precise volley at the largest asteroid, breaking it apart. Debris cascaded down, crushing the alien ships and creating an escape path for the fleet. The simulation faded. The voice spoke again. Wisdom, proven. The final trial came without warning. Trial 3, Unity. Suddenly, the floor beneath, the crew began to break apart. Segments of the platform drifted away, leaving deep gaps between them. The Guardians reappeared, surrounding the crew. Their weapons glowed brighter, and the air filled with a low, threatening hum. Marek shouted, "They're forcing us apart again." "No," Leora said firmly. "They want to see if we can stay together." She leapt across a gap to Sora's platform, pulling her away from an advancing Guardian. Marek covered them with suppressive fire from his position, distracting the other Guardians. The three moved as one, shouting warnings, timing their jumps, and using each other's strengths to cover weaknesses. The Guardians closed in. But each time they attacked, the crew responded as a single unit. Marek, distracted, Sura disabled weapons, and Leora delivered precise strikes to weak points. It wasn't graceful, but it worked. When the last Guardian fell, the hum faded. The platforms reconnected, forming a single floor again. Unity, proven. Towering Guardians stepped back and vanished into the shadows. The vessel in the center of the chamber lowered until it hovered just above the ground. A ramp extended from its side, glowing faintly. Arya's voice was almost reverent. "Captain, the weapon is now ours." Leora stepped forward slowly, her eyes fixed on the shimmering hull. As her hand touched the metal, a surge of energy raced through her body, not painful, but overwhelming. She felt connected to the ship like it was alive and aware of her presence. Before she could speak, alarms blared. Marek checked the sensors. "Captain, the alien fleet has breached the outer gate. They're coming straight for us." Leora's expression hardened. "Then we're going to meet them." With this, the ramp to the alien-forged vessel opened. Wider, revealing its dark interior. The crew exchanged glances. They had no idea how to fly it, no idea what it could do, but they had no choice. As they stepped aboard, the fortress chamber began to collapse behind them. Outside, in the cold black of space, dozens of alien warships closed in. The real fight was about to begin. The alien-forged vessel's interior was like nothing the crew had ever seen. The walls were smooth and dark, with faint veins of blue, light running along them, pulsing as if the ship itself had a heartbeat. There were no buttons, no levers, just smooth surfaces and strange floating symbols that shifted when anyone moved close. Captain Leora, Dane stepped cautiously toward the central platform. "Arya, can you interface with it?" A shimmering projection of the AI appeared, attempting connection. The blue veins brightened, and the air filled with a low hum. Symbols rearranged into patterns that almost looked like human letters. Then, a voice not Arya spoke directly into their minds. "Welcome, chosen ones?" Marek glanced around nervously. "It's talking to us." Sura shook her head. "Not talking. It's inside our heads," the voice continued. "This vessel recognizes your strength, wisdom, and unity. I will fight with you. But know this, my power is not without cost." Outside, the alien fleet drew closer, their ships glowing with the green energy of fully charged weapons. The fortress walls groaned as enemy fire struck them. Leora didn't have time for questions. "We're out of options. Chip whatever you art. Cut us out." The central platform sank slightly, and the crew felt the entire vessel come alive. The hum became a deep vibration through the floor. Then, without any sense of acceleration, the ship slipped out of the fortress's gate like a shadow melting into the night. The alien fleet was waiting. Dozens of warships moved into attack formation, their engines burning like angry suns. Massive flagship loomed behind them, bristling with weapon batteries. "Here we go," Merrick muttered, gripping the unfamiliar weapon controls. The alien warships fired first. Beams of green energy cut through the void, heading straight for them, but the vessel's hull shimmered, and the beams passed through like sunlight through water. Not a scratch. Sura stared in disbelief. They didn't hit us. Or they did, but Arya interrupted. "The ship appears to shift its matter out of phase when under attack. We are not physically here in the moment. We are struck." Leora allowed herself a thin smile. "Good. Now, let's hit them back." The floating symbols before Merrick glowed brighter. Instinctively he reached for one and the ship responded. A burst of pure white energy erupted from its side, cutting through. An enemy destroyer in a single strike. The ship didn't explode, it simply came apart, sliced so cleanly that its two halves drifted apart in silence. The alien formation wavered. Several ships broke position, unsure how to counter this new threat, but the flagship surged forward, its weapons glowing brighter than the rest. Leora knew they couldn't simply trade fire. "Ship, give me speed." Without a sound, the vessel blurred, streaking between enemy lines so fast that the stars themselves became lines of light. Enemy targeting systems failed to keep up, their shots firing harmlessly into empty space. The crew felt no movement. No force, just sudden changes in where they were. Marek fired again, destroying another ship, then another. But each shot left him gasping, as though it drained his strength. "Captain, it's taking something out of us, every time we fire." Voice in their head spoke again. "Power is shared. Your life force fuels mine. Stronger your will, the stronger my strike." Sura looked at Leora. "If we keep this up, we'll burn ourselves out before the battle ends." Leora's eyes locked on the massive flagship. "Then we finish it fast." The alien fleet began to regroup, circling them, trying to trap them in a net of energy beams. The strange vessel danced between them, twisting and phasing in ways that no normal ship could. But the enemy numbers were overwhelming. Then, without warning, the flagship fired its main cannon. A massive wave of green energy swept toward them, too wide to dodge. The vessel's voice resonated in their minds. "Brace yourselves." The ship shifted completely out of normal space. For a moment, everything went black. No stars, no sound, only the sense of falling through endless darkness. Then, in an instant, they were behind the flagship. "Now," Leora shouted. Marek touched the firing symbol one last time. The weapon's white energy surged forward, slamming into the flagship's core. The massive ship split apart, breaking into molten fragments that drifted silently. The rest of the alien fleet faltered, their formation collapsing without their command vessel. Some fled immediately, their engines flaring as they jumped to hyperspace. Others tried to regroup, but the strange vessel moved like a predator among prey. Disabling ship after ship within minutes, the battle was over. The fortress hung silent behind them, and the wreckage of the alien fleet drifted in the cold void. The hum inside the alien-forged vessel quieted. The crew stood in stunned silence, breathing hard. Arya's voice broke the stillness. "Captain, this ship is unlike anything I have ever encountered. Its systems are alive, adaptive. But I detect limitations." Leora turned. "What kind of limitations?" "The vessel draws on its pilots for power. Extended combat will exhaust the crew's physical and mental reserves. Overuse could be fatal." Leora nodded slowly. "Then we'll use it carefully. This ship isn't just a weapon, it's a last chance." The voice in their heads spoke once more. "Your enemies will return. Greater forces will come. I will fight with you, but you must be ready to face what lies beyond the stars." Outside the viewport, the stars stretched endlessly, cold and beautiful. For the first time in months, the human crew felt something they hadn't dared feel: hope. But Leora knew this victory was only the beginning. Somewhere out there, the alien empire would learn of their survival. They would send everything they had to finish what they started. She took a deep breath, set a course for the nearest human outpost. We need to show them what we've found. And we need to prepare for war. The alien-forged vessel's engines flared with soft blue light, and it vanished into the dark, leaving behind only the ruins of those who had thought humanity was finished, far away. In the depths of the alien empire, a message was already being sent, a warning. The humans have a weapon. They will not go quietly. The alien-forged vessel cut through space in complete silence. Its blue veins pulsed steadily, guiding them toward the nearest human outpost. Inside, the crew tried to rest, but the ship didn't let them forget what they had just done. The memory of the battle, the alien fleet breaking apart, the flagship splitting in two, still burned in their minds. Captain Leora Dane sat in the command chair, watching the stars slide past. She couldn't stop thinking about the voice they had heard, the one that spoke inside their heads. It hadn't spoken since the battle, but she could still feel it like a presence watching quietly from the shadows of her thoughts. Marek was the first to break the silence. "Captain, do you feel different? Like something is still in you?" Sura glanced up from the engineering station. "It's not just you. Since we left the fortress, my head feels heavy, not like a headache. More like someone else is thinking with me." Adia's voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. "I have been monitoring your neural activity. All three of you show a regular pattern, synchronized, almost identical. It is possible the vessel has created a mental link between you." Leora frowned. "Can it hear what we think?" Before Arya could answer, the deep voice from the battle returned, echoing in their minds. "We share strength. We share thought. We share purpose. You are never alone aboard me," Marek muttered under his breath. "That's not comforting." The outpost came into view hours later, small station orbiting a barren moon, its metal surface worn and patched from years of neglect. It was all that was left in this sector after the alien invasions. As they approached, comm channels lit up. "This is Outpost Vesper," a voice said. "Identify yourself. You are in restricted space." Leora opened the channel. "This is Captain Leora Dane, formerly of the Resolute. We are bringing something important." There was a long pause. Then the voice returned, colder. "Captain Dane, you were listed as missing in action? Your ship destroyed. How are you alive? And what is that vessel?" "We'll explain in person," Leora replied, "but it's vital we land immediately." The outpost allowed them in, but as soon as they docked, armed soldiers surrounded the docking bay. The humans stared at the alien-forged vessel with open suspicion. It didn't help that its dark, smooth hull seemed to absorb light, and its blue veins pulsed like a heartbeat. An older officer stepped forward, his uniform clean but worn. "Captain Dane, you returned from the dead in an alien warship, claiming you have a weapon. Forgive me if I don't immediately celebrate." Leora met his gaze without flinching. "This ship saved us. With it, we destroyed an entire alien fleet. Without it, we'd be dead like the rest." The officer crossed his arms. "Or you've been compromised, controlled. That thing could be an alien trick. For all we know, you're leading it straight to us." Marek stepped forward. "You think we'd go through hell just to hand over our people to the enemy? We bled for this ship, but the officer's doubt didn't fade. We'll inspect it. Until then, you and your crew will be kept under observation." Before Leora could respond, the alien-forged vessel's voice boomed, not aloud, but in the minds of everyone in the docking bay. "No one enters me without the chosen." Several soldiers froze, glancing around in confusion. The officer stiffened. "What was that?" Leora didn't blink. "The ship doesn't like strangers. It's not wrong to be cautious. Neither of us should trust the other yet." The officer reluctantly agreed to let them remain, but they were given guarded quarters. That night, Leora couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes of things that weren't her alien cities under strange suns. Great battles fought long before humanity existed in a dark shadow. Moving across the stars like a storm, in the morning, Sura reported something disturbing. "Captain, the ship contacted me, not with words. It showed me how to repair its systems. But I knew how to do it without even thinking. It put the knowledge in my head. Arya confirmed it. It appears the vessel can directly implant operational knowledge into the minds of its crew, but such a process can alter neural pathways permanently. Marek shook his head. So it's teaching us, or rewriting us. Either way, that's dangerous. Before Leora could reply, alarms blared across the outpost. An incoming signal screamed over comms, alien fleet detected. Multiple ships inbound DTA 15 minutes. The officer stormed into their quarters. This is your doing. Leora stood you here. Leora stood. They were already coming, and this ship is the only thing that can stop them. The officer hesitated, torn between fear and the obvious truth. Finally, he nodded. If you can do what you claim, then do it.
Out.
But if this is a trick, I'll put you down myself. The docking clamps released, and the alien-forged vessel slid free into space. The moment they were aboard, the voice returned. The hunters have found us. Shall we show them what we are? Leora's hands tightened on the controls. Yes, but this time, we fight to protect more than ourselves. The alien fleet emerged from hyperspace leak, deadly shapes filling the void. The outpost's few defense guns opened fire, but their shots were weak, barely scratching the enemy shields. The strange vessel pulsed with blue light, as if eager for battle. Leora felt its energy through her bones. The link between the crew tightened. She could feel Marek's focus, Sora's tension, Arya's calculations moving through her mind. Target their lead ships, Leora said. Marek's hands moved, and the first shot sliced through an alien cruiser like it was made of paper. But the drain hit them immediately. Alora's pulse raced. Rek's breathing grew heavier. Sora's hands trembled. The aliens answered with a full barrage. The ship shifted out of phase, but Leora felt the cost it was taking strength from them even to defend. Captain Arya warned, "We cannot sustain this pace. We must choose strike hard and end this quickly, or retreat before we collapse." Outside, more alien ships poured into the fight. The outposts wouldn't last long. Leora clenched her fists. We end it. The vessel's light flared brighter than ever, and the crew felt as if every thought, every heartbeat, every shred of will was being pulled into the ship's core. A blinding wave of energy exploded outward, ripping through the alien formation. Ships broke apart, their remains scattering across the void. When the light faded, the battlefield was silent. The surviving alien ships fled into hyperspace. The crew slumped in their chairs, drained but alive. The outpost was still standing. The voice whispered in their minds, softer now. You grow stronger, but so do they. Leora stared into the endless. Dark beyond the stars, she knew this was far from over. The alien-forged vessel floated in the quiet aftermath of battle. Wreckage drifted all around, glittering in the pale light of a nearby star. Inside, the crew tried to recover their bodies, heavy from exhaustion. The fight at the outpost had drained them far more than they had expected. Captain Leora Dane sat forward in the command chair, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. It showed the outpost, the moon it orbited, and the empty stretch of space. Beyond, empty for now. Marek rubbed his temples. They'll be back. That wasn't an attack. That was a scout force. Sura agreed, her voice low. They wanted to see the ship. Now they know what it can do. Next time they'll bring something bigger. Arya's voice was steady, but even she sounded concerned. Sensors indicate multiple large fleets gathering at the edge of this sector. Based on speed and formation, they will arrive in less than 72 hours. Leora looked at the moon on the display. It wasn't just a barren rock. It had a small network of underground cities, one of the last strongholds for thousands of human refugees. If the aliens took it, humanity would lose more than just territory. They'd lose hope. We hold this moon, Leora said firmly, no matter what they throw at us. The alien-forged vessel pulsed with a faint blue glow, as if it approved. The voice they had come to know echoed in their minds. Many hunters will come. To win, you must become one. The next 3 days were a blur of preparation. The outpost's defenses were reinforced, the moon's underground shelters stocked with supplies. The human defense fleet was small-owned ships, patched with whatever parts could be found, but they would fight. And above them all, the alien vessel waited. On the morning of the third day, the horizon lit up with enemy ships. Not dozens, hundreds. Massive carriers, heavy war cruisers, and smaller escort vessels filled the void like a wall of steel. At the center of it all was something new, an enormous alien battleship shaped like a blade, its edges glowing with lethal energy. Merrick's eyes widened. That's a siege cutter. I've only seen them in intel reports. It's built to tear through planetary shields in hours. Leora's voice was calm, but her pulse quickened. Then we'll make sure it never gets the chance. The alien fleet advanced in a slow, steady wave. Human defense ships moved to intercept, but the aliens pushed them back with overwhelming firepower. One by one, human vessels exploded there, wreckage raining down toward the moon's surface. Captain Arya warned, "If we engage the entire fleet, we will exhaust the crew before the siege cutter is destroyed. We must target it directly." Leora nodded. "Then that's our priority. Sora, keep the engines ready for constant evasive maneuvers. Marek, every shot counts. Save them for the big one." The alien-forged vessel shot forward, weaving through enemy fire. Blue light flared along its hull as it shifted out of phase, slipping between the alien ships like a ghost. Smaller vessels tried to block its path, but Marek's precision strikes tore them apart. Each shot cost them. Leora could feel the link between them growing heavier, as if the ship was drinking more and more of their strength. Her breathing quickened. Her muscles ached, but she pushed on. Finally, they closed in on the siege cutter. The ship was massive, its hull covered in overlapping plates that shimmered with energy shields. Direct hit to its reactor, Leora ordered. Marek fired. The beam of white energy smashed into the cutter's shields, bending them but not breaking. Through. The impact drained the crew so badly that Marek nearly collapsed. "They've reinforced it," he gasped. "We'll need more power to break through." The vessel's voice entered their minds again. "Power is here. If you accept the cost..." Leora didn't hesitate. "Do it." A deep surge of energy ripped through their bodies. It was like every heartbeat was pulled faster. Every thought sharpened but strained to the edge of pain. Ship's glow turned from pale blue to brilliant white. Marek fired again. This time the beam punched through the cutter's shields and tore a molten scar down its side. The alien battleship staggered, its formation breaking as smaller ships rushed to protect it. But the power came with a price. Leora's vision blurred. Sora's hand shook violently on the controls. Marek was pale, sweat running down his face. Arias. Voice cut in. "Captain, at this rate, the crew will suffer irreversible damage in minutes." Leora clenched her jaw. "Then we finish it in one." They dove under the cutter's belly, dodging fire from its escort ships. The alien-forged vessel's energy built to a blinding intensity, the deck vibrating beneath their feet. The voice in their minds roared not in words but in raw battle fury. "Fire," Leora shouted. The beam erupted, pure and overwhelming, piercing straight through the cutter's core. For a moment, the massive ship seemed frozen, then it split apart in a violent chain reaction. The explosion lit the void like a second sun. The alien fleet faltered, leaderless. Some ships retreated. Others fired wildly, but the momentum of their attack was broken. Human ships rallied, pushing the aliens back. The siege was over. Inside the alien-forged vessel, the glow faded. Ow. The crew slumped in exhaustion. Leora's hands shook as she gripped the armrests of her chair. "Status." Daria's voice was quiet. "The fleet is withdrawing. The moon is safe for now." But the voice of the vessel spoke again, low and grim. This was not the true war. This was only the beginning. Leora stared out at the battlefield, at the wreckage drifting among the stars. She believed it. The moon was safe, but the victory felt thin. 3 days after the siege, the alien-forged vessel floated in orbit like a silent guardian. Inside, the crew was still recovering. They slept more than they spoke, their bodies and minds slow too. Heal after the battle's toll, but Captain Leora Dane couldn't rest. She stood at the forward viewport, watching the stars. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the siege cutter's explosion and the endless black beyond, where the next threat waited. Arya's voice broke the silence. "Captain, I have been analyzing enemy communication signals intercepted during the siege. They indicate the existence of a command nexus and alien control hub deep within their territory. It is heavily guarded, but if destroyed, their fleet coordination would collapse. Marek, sitting nearby, frowned. That's not just a strike mission. That's a suicide run. Sura was hunched over the engineering console, still pale from the last fight. He's right. They'll be expecting us after what we did. If they know this ship exists, they'll throw everything they have at us before we even get close. Vessel's voice echoed in their minds. Strike the heart, and the limbs fall. But the heart is far, and the path is shadowed. Leora turned to her crew. We can't stay here and wait for them to rebuild. Take the fight to them while they're still reeling. If there's even a chance to cripple their fleet, we have to try. Marek gave a slow nod, though his jaw tightened. Then we'd better be ready for the worst. The alien-forged vessel left the moon's orbit under silent thrust. No human ships followed. It was too dangerous for the fleet to risk. This was their mission alone. The journey took them through dead systems and burned worlds. They passed the ruins of old battles-twisted hulks of alien and human ships, drifting like bones in a graveyard. The deeper they went, the stranger space became nebulae glowed with sickly green light. Stars flickered unnaturally, as if something vast and unseen moved across their surfaces. Twice they passed shattered planets that looked as if something had bitten chunks out of them. Are we sure these are alien weapons? Marek asked quietly. Sora didn't answer. Arya did. Sensor readings suggest unknown energy signatures, not matching standard alien weaponry. The source is unclassified. Leora kept her eyes forward. We focus on the Nexus. Whatever's out here, we deal with it later. 2 days later, the vessel slowed. The alien voice inside their heads whispered with a kind of tension they hadn't heard before. The heart beats ahead, but it is watched by many eyes. Through the viewport, they saw Itha Command Nexus. It wasn't a station like human fleets used. It was alive. A massive structure shaped like a spiraling shell, its surface glowing with slow pulses of red light. Dozens of alien warships orbited it like predators guarding their lair. Marek exhaled. That's more than a fleet. That's a wall. Arya calculated quickly. Direct assault will result in failure within minutes. However, I detect a structural weakness on the Nexus's underside. If we can get close enough, a concentrated strike could overload its core. Sura's eyes narrowed. And how do we get close without being blown apart? The vessel answered before Leora could speak. The shadow path. Suddenly, the stars outside twisted. The ship's hull shimmered, and the crew felt their bodies grow lighter, their voices muffled in their own ears. Space itself seemed to bend around them. The alien fleet outside did not react. They couldn't see them. Marek whispered, "We're invisible?" Arya corrected him. "We are out of phase with local space-time. The effect will collapse if we fire weapons or use high-energy output." They slipped silently through the alien blockade, moving like a ghost toward the Nexus's underside. The structure loomed larger, surface alive with strange movement, tendrils of light that seemed to search the void. Then, without warning, one of the tendrils brushed against the ship. Every light on the bridge flickered. The crew felt a stabbing pain in their skulls. The vessel's voice roared in their minds. "They see us." Instantly, the alien fleet came alive. Ships broke formation, weapons flaring to life. The stealth effect shattered, and alarms filled the bridge. "Go. Engines at full," Leora shouted. Sura threw all power into the drive. The vessel surged forward, dodging blasts of energy that lit up the dark. The Nexus's underside came into view, a deep pit lined with glowing spines. That's the weak point. Marek locked weapons. They dove toward it, enemy ships closing from all sides. The vessel's glow intensified, the crew feeling the familiar dangerous pull on their strength. Marek fired. The first blast struck true, tearing into the pit's walls. The Nexus shuddered, its red light flickering wildly. But the return fire was relentless. Salian weapons hammered the vessel's shields. each hit jarring through their bodies. Again, Leora ordered. Merrick fired the second shot, and the Nexus began to collapse inward, its spiral shell cracking apart. A deep, low vibration rolled through space like the sound of something dying. But before they could escape, a massive shadow moved from behind the Nexus's ship, unlike any they had seen before. It was vast, its surface black and glassy, with jagged lines that glowed faintly white. Arya's voice was uncharacteristically sharp. "Captain, that ship's signature matches none in the alien database. It is older, much older." The vessel, in their minds, spoke one final warning. "That is the first hunter. We must run." Leora didn't hesitate. "Sura, jump us out." Now, the alien-forged vessel ripped through space, stars blurring as they escaped. Behind them, the Nexus detonated. In a blinding flash, but the image of the black ancient ship stayed burned in their minds, and they all knew, had seen them. The alien-forged vessel raced through the dark, its engines burning brighter than ever before. But no matter how far it fled, the shadow followed. The first hunter was unlike any ship they had seen. It did not chase at full speed. It simply moved, steady and unhurried, as if it already knew it would catch them. Captain Leora Dane stood at the center of the bridge, hands gripping the armrests of her chair. "Report." Arya's voice was clipped. "The first hunter is maintaining pursuit distance. Speed unmatched by any known vessel. Energy signature increasing." Sora's eyes were fixed on her console. "Every time we jump, it follows instantly. It's like it's not tracking us through space, it's tracking us through something else." The alien-forged vessel's voice entered their minds, heavy with strain. "It follows through the deep paths. It cannot be outrun." Marek slammed, a hand against the weapons console. "Then we turn and fight. We've beaten everything they've thrown at us before." "No," the vessel interrupted sharply. "This one cannot be beaten by strength. It is older than their fleets, older than your worlds." Leora's voice was steady but grim. "Then what's the choice?" For a moment, the vessel was silent. "And then, to survive, you must merge fully. With me, to become one, will give the power to strike it down. But you will not remain as you are." The bridge was still. They all understood. Merging meant giving themselves completely to the vessel mind, body, identity. No return, Marek's jaw clenched. "So, we either die human or live as something else." The first hunter closed the distance. Its black hole seemed to swallow the starlight. Jagged white lines glowed brighter, and space around it twisted like ripples on water. Suddenly the ship spoke. Again not their vessel, but the first hunter. Its voice was cold inside their skulls, vast and certain. "You carry stolen fire. It will be returned." The crew gasped. Sura's voice shook. "It's talking to us." Leora steadied herself. "Marek, if we merge, can you do it?" He swallowed hard. "If it's the only way, yes." Sura didn't look away from her controls. "I came this far with you, Captain. I'm not turning back." Arya's voice was quiet. "I will integrate fully into the process. If we succeed, the vessel's consciousness will blend with ours. We will be different." The vessel's glow deepened to a blinding white. "Decide it comes." Leora closed her eyes for a heartbeat. When she opened them, her voice was firm. "Do it." The moment they agreed, the ship's core flared. A rush of heat and light flooded the bridge. The walls seemed to dissolve, replaced by endless stars. The crew felt their minds stretching outward, touching one another not with words, but with shared thought and memory. They felt the vessel's mind, too vast, alien, but now open to them. Its presence was like a storm wrapped around a calm center. Together, they became something more. When the light faded, they existed within the vessel. Not as passengers, but as parts of it. The first hunter loomed ahead. This time, it hesitated, so its voice rumbled. "You have chosen the old way." The merged vessel surged forward, faster than before. The crew no longer needed spoken commands. Thought and action were one. Energy built within them, a power so great it seemed to burn the stars themselves. The first hunter struck first, unleashing a lance of white fire that split space in two. They dodged effortlessly, the motion as natural as breathing. They fired back not with a single beam, but with a storm of light. It tore across the first hunter's black hole, each hit cracking the glassy surface. The ancient ship roared, twisting reality around itself, trying to crush them in a collapsing pocket of space. But they broke free, every movement in perfect harmony. Then came the final strike. Together they drove a spear of pure energy straight into the first hunter's core. The black ship froze. Its white lines flared once, then shattered. A silent explosion rippled outward, and the first hunter dissolved into fragments of light, scattering into the void. Silence fell. They floated there, the merged vessel, feeling the vast emptiness around them. But the emptiness didn't feel so large anymore, not when they could feel each other as clearly as their own thoughts. Finally, Leora's voice came not aloud, but within the shared mind. Did it? The vessel replied, warm and proud. We did. Merrick's thought carried a hint of wonder. What now? They turned toward the stars where human space lay far behind. Cerez's thought was quiet but determined. We go back, protect them. All of them. And together, they moved. No longer just a human crew. It's no longer just an alien ship. Something new. Something that the galaxy would never forget.